program. I want to welcome everyone to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My name is Jerry Shockey. I oversee all the youth and educational programs here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And we're really pleased that you guys can tune in here today for our Heart of the Hall of Famer series featuring Pro Football Hall of Famer Warren Moon. And many of you have connected before with your students. You know the premise of this, but we do have some new faces as well as part of this program. And the real idea behind this program is to really let you know what it took to get in the Hall of Fame beyond just the athletic ability. We know our Hall of Famers are great examples of athleticism and skill, but it took way more than that to get in the Hall of Fame. It took those 6 core pillars that you guys are studying and applying in your lives: of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. Those are, important character qualities to be in not only Hall of Famer on the field, but a Hall of Famer off the field. And one thing that can be said about just about all of our Hall of Famers, if their God-given ability didn't lie in professional football, that they would have gone on to achieve greatness in something else. And many of them, like the example that you have here today, have gone on to Hall of Fame careers after their playing career, as you'll hear as I'll outline in Mr. Moon's bio here in just a moment. So we're pleased to give you guys the opportunity to talk with one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. You see a quarterback jersey behind me, Peyton Manning. Well, Peyton Manning hopes to be in Warren Moon's shoes someday and be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Do we have someone chime in there? We'll just remind all the schools to keep the microphones muted throughout the program. But without great partners and great teamwork, this program is not possible. So we do have some friends to thank for making this connection possible. First and foremost, as always, eTech Ohio. You help with all of our connections, all of our Heart of the Hall of Famer connections. Many of the school districts work with you guys quite often, and making sure to get these connections so we can connect all these sites into one area. So I need to thank Jason and Josh and Mark down there for making this connection possible. We have to thank our friends at Cisco for agreeing to host Mr. Moon here today so we could do this broadcast from Bellevue, Washington. So I know Brent and Ken and KJ and the team out there have been working hard to make sure that this broadcast happens successfully today. So thanks to our friends at Cisco for doing that. We need to thank our teachers, because without the teachers making the sacrifice and the commitment and doing the preparatory materials and all the things that have to take place to make this program successful, I know the teachers have worked hard to make this program possible. But the real stars of the show are obviously the students here today, because while we'll have some opening remarks from Mr. Moon, the program is going to be driven off of the preparation that you guys have done and the questions that you have throughout the program. So the students are the real stars of the show here today. So we want to thank all the students. I've seen your questions that you've submitted, some great questions, so I'm looking forward to a great interaction with Mr. Moon here today. But what we'd like to do is give a chance for those students to show a little school spirit and give a little shout out. So teachers in your classrooms, please close your doors. I apologize for allowing your students to scream in the classroom for just a moment. If you don't have a door to close, then I'm really sorry. But we'd like to give the opportunity for the schools to show Mr. Moon where they're from, and also for the other schools to see where all the other schools are from, because we have students from all across the country tuning in for this program here today. So with that being said, I haven't heard from him yet, so hopefully they're there now. Is Greenland High School in Arkansas? Are you guys connected? If you are, unmute and give a shout out. No Greenland yet. We've had some audio issues with them in the past, so maybe that's what's going on. I know Barron, Wisconsin, Barron High School. Go ahead and unmute your mics. Give a shout out. I know you guys are connected.
There you go. Go.
All right, thank you, Barron. And let's go to our friends at Boston College High School in Boston, Massachusetts. Go ahead.
Okay, do it again, because you did.
Okay. These are our veterans of the program. They actually hosted Andre Tippett for us about a year and a half ago. So they're experts on this program. Let's go to right down the street pretty much from here. Let's go to Canton South High School if you want to give a shout out. Okay, I think Canton South's got this so far. Let's go to Louisiana. Woodlawn, did you guys get connected? Are you there?
Yeah!
1, 2, 3.
Woodlawn!
Okay, thank you, Woodlawn. And let's go to our friends in Buffalo, New York, International School number 45. Okay, thank Thank you, Buffalo. And let's go to Alabama and Mountain Gap Elementary.
Yeah!
Thank you, Mountain Gap. And last but definitely not least, right down the street from us as well, the Art Academy of Canton, Ohio. Go ahead. Okay, thank you, schools. And we appreciate, again, you guys tuning in here today. I do want to remind all the schools just to eliminate any distractions, to please keep your microphones muted throughout the program until we call upon you to ask your question. Even after I ask you a question, if you can go ahead and mute your microphone after that so we can eliminate any distractions for all the other schools tuning in. But I would like to now introduce our speaker for today, and that's Pro Football Hall of Famer Warren Moon. He began his pro career with the CFL's Edmonton Eskimos, winning 5 straight Grey Cups. He signed with the NFL's Houston Oilers back in 1984. During his career, he completed 3,988 passes for nearly 50,000 yards and 291 touchdowns during a 17-season career. He was 9 3,000-yard passing seasons, was at that time third in league history. Named to 9 Pro Bowls, had 4 4,000-yard passing seasons, All-Pro in 1990, and first or second team All-AFC in 1988, 1989, and 1990. Now, what we like to do is, obviously there's a lot of accomplishments on the field there, but we also like to highlight 2 other areas. They're off-the-field accomplishments, but also one thing that's great about our Hall of Famers is, and you start looking at that pillar, citizenship and caring, they're very giving of their time and their efforts and their talents. And we like to illustrate those things as well. So off the field, Moon has strongly established himself within the sports business world with 10 years of experience as a partner at Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. Moon went on to begin Sports One marketing in 2010 with CEO David Meltzer. Moon is also the cover analyst for the Seattle Seahawks and also the chairman of the marketing and business investment group, QB Greats. In the past, Moon has worked with TNT as a basketball reporter, DirecTV, with CBS's Westwood One Radio, Fox Sports, and as a specialist with the NFL for preseason games. Now, as we talked about those charitable contributions, Moon was named the NFL's Man of the Year back in 1989 for his work in the community. He established the Crescent Moon Foundation in that same year as well to raise money for college academic scholarships in Seattle, Los Angeles, Houston, and Minneapolis-St. Paul. Moon regularly volunteers his time and expertise to a variety of charitable organizations that raise awareness and funds for communities in need. Moon generously donated $250,000 to his church, Windsor Village United Methodist Church, to build a new community center. After his professional football career, Moon has continued his charitable endeavors. Moon hosts an annual celebrity bowling tournament, which raises funds for the Urban Youth Sports Scholarship Fund. He also hosts an annual celebrity golf tournament benefiting the Children's Hospital of Seattle, and is a founding member of the Field Generals, which is an African-American QB club dedicated to molding young African-American QBs into future leaders. Now, did you hear that part? I think that's important to distinguish it, not into future African-American QBs into future great quarterbacks, but in future leaders. So that, that encompasses on the field and off the field as well. Additionally, he serves as an ambassador for the NFL, promoting the game of football to young people worldwide, and is also on the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Board of Trustees. And before we ask Mr. Moon for his opening remarks, I would like to give you guys a little snippet of Mr. Moon's on-the-field career here.
Warren Moon redefined the quarterback position in more ways than one. With pinpoint passing and amazing range, Moon was the heart of a Houston team that was one to reckon with for nearly a decade. Even at the age of 40, Moon was still among the NFL's best. Warren Moon erased the myth that African Americans couldn't play quarterback, making believers of us all.
And if all the schools can unmute your mics for a second and joining me in giving a warm round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer Warren Moon. Unmute your microphones, and Mr. Moon, the microphone is yours, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. And I just want to, first of all, welcome all the students from all across the country that are involved in this Heart of the Hall of Famers series today. I want to thank the teachers for, making the ask to be involved in this program so that your students can be, exposed to this type of program that the game has to offer. I hope it'll be an enlightening morning for you young students, because all of you probably aren't football fans. I'm sure there's some young ladies out there that aren't football fans, but I think this series has a lot more to do with life in general than it does just football. Football happened to be a stepping stone for me in my life. It was something that I got enjoyment out of playing as a young kid, as well as all the other sports that I played, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, or whatever. And football just seemed to be the thing that I really gravitated towards as I got up through high school, and felt like that was going to be my opportunity to get a college scholarship, because coming from a single family home as I did with only my mom, my dad passed away when I was 7 years old. I had 6 sisters in my family, so I was the only boy in the house. And I felt like the only way I was going to get to go to college was either get an academic or a athletic scholarship. And because I had some abilities in sports, that's where I decided to take my abilities towards football, which is something I really enjoyed and something I thought I was best at. And the quarterback position was something I really enjoyed playing as a young kid. I started playing the position when I was 10 years old, playing Pop Warner football, and just kind of played it all the way up through middle school and into high school. So it wasn't something that at the time in the the late 60s, early 70s, it was a very difficult position for me to play as an African American, because you just didn't see a lot of African American quarterbacks at that time. But that was something I really enjoyed, and it was something I really thought I was good at. And there were enough other people that thought I was good enough at it to keep pushing me forward. So that's what I decided I was going to do, and I wasn't going to let anybody tell me that I couldn't. All I wanted was an opportunity, and I think if you're prepared, and if you do all the things that it takes to be prepared, whether it's the hard work and the commitment and everything that goes along with it, I think you have an opportunity to be successful in anything in life that you want to do, and never let anybody tell you that you can't do something until you fail at it yourself. But you have to at least try. And like I said, if you're prepared and if you put in the work, I think most times you will be successful. So as we talk today about the different things that went on in my life, I think those 6 pillars that Jerry talked about as far as character are concerned will have a big part in what kept me going forward, what kept me on the right track, and also helped make me successful. Because I think character is probably the most important thing you can have in your life, believe it or not, because when you leave this earth and you go to wherever you go from here, you can't take anything with you. You can't take your possessions. You can't take money. I can't take trophies. I can't take records. I can't take any of that stuff with me. But my character, if my character was solid while I was here, I think that will always be something that people will remember you by. How good a person you were, how you treated other people, and what difference did you make while you were here on earth. And that's something that's very, very important to me. That's why I've been so involved in so many different things, not only on the football field, but off the football field. And football has allowed me to do a lot of these things. It's been a great platform for me to recognize some of the other things that are important to me in life, whether it be giving back to charity, whether it be speaking up for the underdog or speaking up for the underprivileged. All those different things, football has allowed me to do that. So I really got a lot from the game, not only the money and the fame and everything that comes along with it, but also it allowed me to do a lot of other things off the field and create business opportunities, create business relationships, and great friendships that I'll have for the rest of my life. So with that, I'm really looking forward to answering a lot of your questions today, and I just hope that the things that I have to say to you will be enlightening and somehow maybe inspire you to do some of the things that you want to do in life. And the bottom line is you can do anything, and I'm a great example of that, a guy that was told at a very, very young age that you can't do what I was trying to do. I did it at the highest level, and I'm a living proof that it can be done. So with that, thanks for all of you for being involved, and I look forward to hearing from you as we go throughout this program.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Moon, for your opening remarks there. And I just want to remind all the schools, um, we'll go in the order of reservation. We'll start with Greenland. We'll go to Barron, Boston College, Canton South, Woodlawn, and then International School number 45. And again, as I said earlier, this is one of the greatest quarterbacks that has ever played in the NFL. Whoever your favorite quarterback is, like I said, Peyton Manning or Eli Manning or Drew Brees or Cam Newton or whoever it might be, whoever your favorite quarterback is, they hope to be in Mr. Moon's shoes someday. And I think if they knew more about him off the field as well, or if they do know his off-the-field achievements, I think they would want to be in his, his shoes off the field as well, because he's been such a successful and giving person throughout his career. So again, I encourage you, out of those questions that you guys have submitted to us, ask those thought-provoking and challenging questions. What obstacles did he face? I mean, those kind of things that you guys have the opportunity to learn from today. I will tell you, I am taking notes. This is why I love doing this program. Is I will be taking notes throughout the program as well, because there are things that I can apply to my life to help me be more successful as an employee of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as a husband, as a father, as a citizen of my hometown. So there are things that I can definitely apply from these things into my life. So I will be a student here as well, learning from how to achieve greatness. So with that being said, I did just get an email from Tiffany Abner at Greenland High School, and it was as I suspected. They're having mic issues there, but they did email me their question for the first one. And Tiffany, just keep feeding me questions. We'll do one each round. We'll rotate through those 6 schools. So if you want to give me another one after this, we'll get you the next round as well. And our first question is, who or what inspires you? Who or what inspires you?
I think my biggest inspiration, especially as a young kid, was my mom, because, like I said in my opening remarks, she raised 6 kids by herself, basically, because, again, my father passed away at a very, very young age, so my mother had to do it basically on her own. And I watched how she took care of the 7 of us. I watched how she went back to school and re-educated herself. She became a nurse. She went to school at night and took care of us during the day. And then once she became a nurse, she would work, double shifts sometimes, but she would always be able to be at home to have us a hot cooked meal. She'd always had our clothes clean. I never felt like I was, poor or anything like that, even though I know we didn't have a whole lot, but I always had clean clothes on my back. I always had a hot meal. I always had a lunch to go to school. And it was all because of my mom and the way she was able to make ends meet on everything. My house was immaculate at all times. If you could imagine, 7 kids in a 2-bedroom house, everything had to have a place for it. So I learned so much from her about strength, about intestinal fortitude, about overcoming obstacles, and watching her do that each and every day, it just rubbed off on me. And one of the inspirations that she gave me was that I wanted to make sure one day I could be in a position to take care of her and take her out of this type of situation that she was in. And fortunately, through my hard work and through the things that football was able to allow me to do, I was able to take care of her, buy her a new home, and give her the things that I thought she always deserved, because she sacrificed so much for us as young kids at a very young age. So my mom was one of my biggest inspirations.
Okay, thank you, Greenland High School. And let's go to Wisconsin, Barron Middle School. If you guys are still connected, go ahead with your question.
What was the toughest part academically getting to the NFL?
I don't think there was one part that was any tougher than any other. I think at every stage, in junior high school, college, you always had to maintain a certain grade point average when I was coming up through school in order to play sports. And that grade point average had to be somewhere about a 2.7 out of a 4-point system. So I knew, and my mother always pushed that on me, that if you don't get your grades, you will not be allowed to play sports, because in her mind, and I guess in mine as well, sports was an extracurricular activity. It wasn't something that was required, but for you to get an education and for you to get a diploma, you had to have your grades. So that was the most important reason why you should be going to school, was to get your education. And if you could do some other things, whether it be a part of the band or be a cheerleader or be on a sports team or be in one of the social clubs or whatever at school, you do that as long as it didn't interfere with you getting your education and your study time. And so that was probably the toughest thing for me, was trying to balance being able to go to school, have time to study, but also have time to practice and get good at my sport. So I think balancing your time out was probably the most challenging thing for a student athlete, because it takes so much time to be good at both things. It takes a lot of time to be a good student. It also takes a lot of time to be a good athlete. And how you balance that time and make sure you put enough in both areas to be successful was probably the biggest challenge for me.
Okay, and thank you, Barron. And let's go to Massachusetts at Boston College High School.
We know you defend and mentored Cam Newton a lot, so what drew you to him, and what is your relationship with him today?
Well, I first met Cam Newton when he was in high school. He was in. I did a football camp at Disney World at the Wide World of Sports, and it was a camp done by the Field Generals, the group that Jerry mentioned earlier in my introduction. It was a camp for young African American quarterbacks to try and develop them not only into quarterbacks but also leaders. And Cam came to that camp along with his parents, so I got a chance to meet him when he was a junior in high school, and I saw this big, raw, athletic guy that had a lot of ability, and we worked with him that day, and wished him luck as he went on through the rest of his high school career, and he went on to have a great high school career, went to the University of Florida as a quarterback, and I kind of followed his development throughout. Once his career was over at Auburn, his dad called me and wanted me to work with him as far as getting him ready for the NFL draft, because he was coming out of an unconventional offense in college, the spread offense, and he needed to learn what the fundamentals were to be an NFL quarterback. So that's when I started working with him, but I also got a chance to know him much better as a person, because I was working with him day in and day out, not only just on the field, but off the field as well. We had meals together, we socialized together, we talked a lot about the things that he wanted to do as a player, and I got a chance to know him probably a little bit better than people on the outside did. So that's one of the reasons why I was so in his corner as far as all the criticism that he was taking through the pre-draft process. But I think he showed everybody what type of player and what type of person that he is by the way he played this year and by the way he handled himself. He did make some mistakes early in his career in college that he really regretted, but he's kind of gotten over that and matured from some of those things. And I think we all make mistakes as long as we learn from those mistakes and don't repeat them. And our relationship today is about the same. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia in the off season, plays in Carolina during the season. So we stay in contact through the telephone and through texting and things like that. I spent some time with him at the Pro Bowl, because he made the Pro Bowl this year as a rookie, and I had a golf tournament there to benefit St. Jude's Hospital, so he came and participated in my golf tournament. So we have a really close relationship, and I try and just kind of mentor him whenever I think there's something that needs to be said, or any advice that I think that I could give him in the right direction. But he's a pretty level-headed young man. He's got his head on straight as far as what he wants to do and what he wants to be, but it's always good to have people in your life that have been there and done that, like I have, that maybe can give him advice along the way. And that's what I try to do for a lot of young quarterbacks and a lot of young people that I come in contact with.
And, that's really important to bring up. There's a lot of things that we can pull from what Mr. Moon said. But one of the things that I hear as well is here's this great athlete, Cam Newton, who still was humble enough to want to work with somebody to become better. And I think that's important for all of us to know in all of our lives and everything that we go through in life, is that we're always going to need a mentor. We're always going to need a shoulder to lean on, or whatever it might be. Because, if you think about it, in football, if you have trouble with your mechanics or whatever, or, strength, you hit the weight room, you do repetitions to get better. We should do that in everything we do in life. If we want to be a better student, we need to work harder studying. If we want to be better at this, we need to work harder doing that. So, I think having that person in your life, realizing that, what you need to work on, and being, I don't want to say brave enough, but having the courage, because sometimes it's kind of looked upon as that, you might have that feeling. I know I do sometimes, is, that's showing weakness by saying, hey, I need help on something. It's not showing weakness. It's actually showing strength, in my personal opinion, because being able to identify what you aren't quite as good at and being willing to work hard on that is going to make you a great leader in this country, and on the field, off the field, and all those different elements. So, great things shared there by Mr. Moon. So let's go to Canton South.
I think it is so hard for some.
Go ahead. You just gotta speak to that.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many to realize that winners are usually the ones who work harder, work longer, display strong character traits, and as a result perform better?
Could you repeat that one more time, please?
Speak louder.
Could you repeat that for me?
Why do you think it is so hard for so many to realize that winners are usually the ones who work harder, work longer, display strong character traits, and as a result perform better?
Why do you think that's hard? Why do you think it's hard for people to understand that?
Yeah.
Understand about winners? Well, I don't think winners are the only ones that work hard. I think everybody that works hard. It depends on what you're talking about in winning. Are you talking about in a sport? Are you talking about in life? Are you talking about? I don't know exactly what you talk about when you say winners, because I think there's a lot of people that work hard at a lot of different things, and in sports, the winning team isn't always just the team that worked the hardest. Sometimes the ball has to bounce the right way. There's a little bit of luck involved. There's breaks that are involved or whatever it might be. But I think when you get to the point where both teams are competing, I think both teams have worked very hard, and sometimes execution has something to do with it. Maybe one team executes a little bit better than the other team does, but I don't think because you work hard, that's the only reason why you win, and the team that didn't work as hard isn't a winner. A lot of other things go into winning besides just hard work, but hard work definitely has a lot to do with it. There's no question about it. And I think the hardest working teams are going to be the most successful teams, or the hardest working people are going to be some of the most successful, but that's not all that it takes.
Okay, thank you, Canton South. And let's go to Louisiana, Woodlawn Leadership Academy in Shreveport.
What was your childhood dream?
I had a lot of childhood dreams, like any other young kid growing up. I used to visualize and dream about playing in the NBA. I used to dream about playing in Major League Baseball, because I was a big baseball player when I was younger as well. I used to dream about being a lawyer, believe it or not. I thought if I didn't make it in sports, I was going to go to law school and become a lawyer. So there was a lot of dreams that I had as a young kid growing up, and I had a lot of time, especially being the only boy in the house. I was by myself a lot because I didn't want to be around all the girls all the time. So I had a lot of time to dream and a lot of time to think. But I think my dreams as a football player were something that became more of a reality, and they became more goals to me as I got into high school. Junior high school, maybe it was more of a dream in elementary school, but then as you got into high school, you started forming your goals for what you wanted to be in life, whether it was what you wanted to do educationally or what you wanted to do as an athlete. So I think those dreams kind of turned into those goals as a high school player, and fortunately I was able to realize those dreams and those goals as I set forth a path of trying to obtain those things.
Okay, and thank you, Woodlawn. Let's go to Buffalo International School, number 45.
Yeah.
Sit here. I'll hold it for you. You look there.
Look over there.
Yeah.
And,
My name's Howard.
Go ahead,
My
I'm sorry.
name's Howard. My name's Howard. My question was, how long did it take for you to believe in yourself?
How long did it take for me to believe in myself? That's really a hard question to answer. I don't think I've never not believed in myself. I think that's one of the things that is probably one of my strongest character traits, is my belief in myself, my belief in my ability, and the confidence that I have in what I think I can do. And if I didn't have that confidence, if I didn't have that strength in my abilities, I probably would have, faltered when people told me that I couldn't do certain things. But I think the fact that I did believe in myself, the fact that I knew I was willing to work and put the hard work in that it took to be successful, and then having people that was supporting me, whether it was family or friends or coaches or teachers, when you have people that are definitely motivating you to keep going forward, and that belief you have in yourself, that's a good combination for hopefully you being successful in overcoming anything that you need to overcome. So I don't think I've never not had belief in myself.
A great question. That's an interesting question. So, but
very interesting.
Yeah, thank you, International School. And we're gonna go back to the top, Greenland. I got the next email in from them. We are still working on the mic, but our next question is, what advice would you give a teenager who doesn't know what to do with their life?
That's a good question, because there's a lot of teenagers out there that are really kind of lost as far as what they want to do, and have a lot of questions about who they are and what they want to be in life, and that's something that's not it's something that's not new, and it's not going to change anytime soon. There are a lot of kids that are focused and driven and know exactly what they want to do, and there are a lot of others out there that are still trying to figure that out. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. That just means maybe there's a lot of different things that you want to do, and you just haven't figured out what that one thing is. I think everybody is gifted in some particular way, whether it be in athletics, whether it be in art, whether it be in science, or whatever it might be. And I think the earlier you can find out what your gift is, and if that's something that you're really good at, and it's something that you really enjoy, and you have a passion for it, I think that's what you go after. Sometimes that comes a little bit later in life for other people. Sometimes it comes, into high school. Sometimes it comes maybe into college before you really figure out what it is what you want to do. And even sometimes you go into college with a certain major, and you get into that major and you realize that that's not made for you either. And you end up graduating with a major that you really don't feel like that's something you want to pursue in life. So there's a lot of people that have a lot of different questions about what they want to do in life all along the way. But I think that one of the easiest ways for me was finding out what my passion was, finding out what I really loved doing, and did I have a gift for that? And I found out very early that I had a gift as an athlete, and I had a passion as an athlete to be good at it, and that's why I took it in that direction. So I think that is a good way to try and find out what it is you want to do in life, if possible. But there's still a lot of other things. I think trying a lot of different things is going to really help you as well too. Just try different subjects, try different jobs, whether it be part-time jobs, internships, or whatever you might be able to get into, and just kind of dabble in different things and see exactly what it is you like and what you don't like. And I think those answers will come a little bit easier as you experiment with different things.
I think that's really important, especially for the high school students that are tuning in here. As you go into college, you may think you want to do this, you want to do it, you've studied about it, you read about it, you know folks that do it, but getting an internship and actually doing it, you might turn around and say, no, I really don't like this. As interns that work here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, one of the things we like them to walk away with is either saying they love the internship or they couldn't stand it, because at least they know that's not the direction that they want to go. So at least it was beneficial for them in that regard. So definitely, as much experience as you guys can get is definitely going to benefit you. Let's go to Barron, Wisconsin. Barron Middle School.
Did you ever have any interest in other positions besides quarterback in the NFL?
Not as a football player, no. I never wanted to play any other position but quarterback. I always thought that quarterback was probably the most challenging position that there is in team sports. It was a position where you probably had to put the most work in to be successful at it. It's a position where you have to kind of know what everybody's doing, not just your own job, but you got to know what everybody's doing on your side of the ball, as well as what everybody on the other side of the ball is doing. So it takes a tremendous amount of study and preparation to be good at it. I think the different aspects of it, being able to have the intelligence to call plays and read defenses and also do the athletic things that it takes to play quarterback are very challenging. So all those things to me really made the position of playing quarterback really interesting. And I think the fact that you're the guy that everybody looks to be the leader, you're the guy that everybody looks to make the big play or make the right decision, that's something that really challenged me, and I really love that about playing the game. And you know, as a quarterback, you're going to take a lot of the blame when you lose, and you're going to take a lot of the praise when you win, and that's just kind of part of the position. So a lot of people can handle that, and a lot of people can't, but that's something that I loved about the position as well, being able to balance those two. So there's no other position I ever really wanted to play in football, no question about it. There were positions in basketball that if I played basketball, I would have loved to have played, you know, a big shooting guard or something like that, but football was it for me, and I'm so glad I went that direction because it's probably the best position for me, and it gave me the most joy as far as playing it.
And you know, that goes back to something that Mr. Moon said earlier about belief in yourself, because I don't know if you guys read up on your history a little bit about Mr. Moon in the NFL. There were others that didn't want him to play quarterback. You know, because at that time, you know, especially in the 70s and 80s, so-called thinking positions, the quarterback, middle linebacker, center, these positions were typically relegated for white players because they were thought to be so-called thinking positions. So, you know, but that was his belief in himself that he could do that, that he was able to do that, and obviously did it well. He's got a bronze jacket, and his bust lays here in Canton, Ohio. So that goes back to a lot of things that he's already said. The belief in himself, not limiting yourself based upon someone else's expectations of you. So these are important things to keep in track and keep note of, because between him and you know, another guy, Doug Williams at that time, really put to bed this notion that an African American couldn't lead a team as a quarterback, because both of them did. I mean, Doug Williams led him to a Super Bowl, and Warren Moon had, you know, pretty much 10 seasons where the Oilers were in competition every single year. So I think that's important to note, that again, that goes back to those core things, the core character qualities. But as he said, already said a couple times, that he's always had belief in himself. So it was never a question that he wasn't going to play any other position. He was going to be a quarterback. So let's go to let's see, Boston College.
Yep. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moon. What type of adversity? What type of adversity did you face going into college and into the NFL?
Muted.
Well, I think the biggest adversity I faced going to college and in the NFL, again, was the fact that a lot of people did not want me to play the position of quarterback. They wanted to change my position. You know, coming out of high school, I got recruited by a lot of major universities, but I got recruited basically to play defensive back, play wide receiver, to schools that maybe ran the option, things like that, where I was a thrower. I threw the football. I was a good passer in high school, but for some reason, because I had athletic ability, the schools that wanted to recruit me as a quarterback were schools that ran the wishbone and ran the veer and wanted to change my position to another position. So that was something that I just wasn't going to adhere to, and I decided to go to junior college, believe it or not, for a year, just because I couldn't get the right offer at a passing school to play quarterback. So I went to a junior college for a year. I set a bunch of records and won a division title there, and then finally schools started to recruit me a little bit as a quarterback. But it wasn't until, you know, I took that extra step that people would do that. And then the same thing when I came out of the University of Washington. You know, I was in my senior year, I was the Pac-8 Player of the Year. I was the Rose Bowl's most valuable player. And still teams in the NFL were saying that they wanted to change my position and not draft me as a quarterback. And that's one of the main reasons why I went to play in Canada, was because the Canadian Football League gave me an opportunity to play quarterback. And I kind of weighed my options. Did I want to go to the NFL and play a position that I really wasn't into, or that I really felt like I wouldn't be successful at, that I had never played before, against guys who had probably been playing those positions, you know, all their lives? Or should I go somewhere where I know the position, I love the position, I feel like I'm good at that position in quarterback, and I'm given an opportunity to play that position, even though it's in a country where I don't know anybody, I don't know the league. My childhood dream was to play in the NFL, so I gave up a lot to go to play in Canada, but I also believed in what I was doing by going there was playing a position that I felt like I could play. And I went up there and I had great success and finally came back to the National Football League and played. So I went through adversity at both of those levels, had to go somewhere different, whether it was junior college or whether go play in Canada before I was able to realize the dreams that I had set for myself or the goals that I set for myself to go to major college and also play in the NFL. But I did it, and sometimes you have to do, the extra things in order to make it in life, and that's kind of what I had to do in those particular situations, but it worked out well for me.
Thank you, Boston College. Great question, and let's go Canton South.
There you go.
How do you think you would fare in today's game, and who do you think the best quarterback is in the NFL now?
Well, I think I would do pretty well in today's game, given the fact that all the rules are geared towards throwing the football. You look at the quarterbacks now, they're very well protected as far as you can't really hit them high in the head. You can't hit them low in their knees. Back in the days when I was playing, I mean, you could hit us anywhere. You could drive us to the turf. You could do whatever. It wasn't as much protection for the quarterback as it is today. And I agree with the protection on the quarterback now because we're in a very vulnerable position when you're back there throwing that football and some of the hits that these guys take. So I agree with that. I think the wide receiver position is a lot easier to play today because you can't hit the wide receiver or bump the wide receiver after 5 yards. So the rules are just geared to where the passing game is going to dominate right now. And that was one of my strengths when I played. And you look at the quarterbacks now where Drew Brees breaks the all-time single-season record this year. He pretty much smashes it that Dan Marino held. You had 3 guys this year almost break that single-season record. There's a lot of other quarterbacks that threw for well into 4,000 yards. That's something that never was heard of before. So I think the rules are geared towards throwing the football, and because that was one of my strengths as a player, I think I would do very well in today's game. And as far as the best quarterbacks, I don't think there's one guy that's the best. I think there's probably 3 or 4 guys right now. You look at if there's a healthy Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, obviously, Drew Brees, obviously, and Aaron Rodgers. I think those guys are probably the 4 top ones right now, but there's a lot of other guys that are right there, a lot of good quarterbacks in the National Football League right now.
So I think if I gather from what Mr. Moon's saying is that he would have probably passed for 6,000 yards this season, and his career
I
would
won't
probably
say a number,
but so, thank you, Faircrest. Let's go to Louisiana, Woodlawn Leadership Academy.
What high school did you go to, and what was it like?
I went to a high school called Hamilton High School in Los Angeles, California, and it was a high school that was outside of the district where I lived. I lived in a district where I was supposed to either go to a Dorsey or a Los Angeles high school, but both of those schools were very gang-oriented at that time, and I felt like I didn't want to get caught up in that because of where I was living, so I went to Hamilton High School, which was more of a predominantly Jewish and white high school that had a really good athletic program and also a great educational program. And that's where I ended up going to high school, and I'm really glad that I did that because it was just a lot better environment for me all the way around, and really got a chance to meet a lot of different people, different ethnic groups going there because there was, it was obviously, it was 20% black, I think it was 40% Jewish, it was, I think, another 20% white, and then like 5 or 8% Asian. So there was a lot of different ethnic groups there that I got a chance to really get a chance to know and learn about while I went to high school, as well as learning my education and also the sports part of it. So it was a great decision for me at that time in my life.
Okay, thank you, Woodlawn, and let's go to Buffalo.
Kevin. Stand here.
Are the 6 pillars of character: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship, which one you believe is your weakest and why?
Good question.
Wow, my weakest. You know, I really, it's hard for me to deal in weakness. I think all those things I'm pretty good at. I don't think I'm excellent in any of them, but I think I'm not weak in any of them either. I really try and practice all of those different things in my life. I guess if I had to look down one and say one, I don't know. Maybe fairness when I'm competing, because I go after it when I'm competing, and anything goes. I try and be as much of a sportsman as I possibly can, but I'm a pretty big competitor when I'm competing in different sports or whatever. But there's really I don't even think, because I'm not a cheater at all, so I couldn't even say fairness would be something that I'm weak at. I think I'm pretty good at all of them. So weakness would probably not be a good answer for me.
Okay, and thank you, International School. I think we got time. It looks like we've got about 12, 13 minutes left. We should be able to take one question from each group one more time, and I just got the newest one from our friends in Arkansas, and their question is, what's the best moment of your life? Interesting. What's the best moment of your life?
The best moment, huh? Wow. I mean, when you've lived as long as I have, I've had a lot of special moments, and there's special moments in different times in your life, whether it was, you know, the day you were married, or the day you graduated from high school, or the day your first child was born, or then your second child, or your third child, and in my case, 5 children. And then the day I was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, there's just been some great days in my life that it's really hard to narrow them down into one great moment, but a lot of great moments in different aspects. So those are just some of the great moments in my life that I just mentioned right there.
Thank you, Greenland. And let's go to Barron, Wisconsin.
What was it like proving people wrong that you couldn't become a professional quarterback?
You know, it's a very satisfying feeling that you were able to set a goal for yourself, go through some adversity, listen to people criticize and tell you that you can't do certain things, and then all of a sudden achieve those goals. There's nothing better than that, and it's not something that you want to, you know, go back to those people and say, I told you so, or try and, you know, throw it in their face that they were wrong or whatever. You just let your work do that. If you go out there and do the work and prove to people, and they'll see whether they were right or wrong or not by what you're doing, that's a very satisfying feeling. And for me, it made me appreciate it a little bit more than say the average person, because people were telling me that I couldn't do it, and that I wasn't good enough, and that you'll never make it, or whatever it might be. So when you finally break through and you finally are successful, I think there's a more gratifying feeling that you know that you really earned this, that you really put in the work and you really earned what it is that you accomplished. And it is a great feeling, no question about it.
And I think hopefully we got them just before. I know they had to leave a little bit early. Boston College, I think you guys are still in class.
We have one more question, and we all want to say thank you very much, right, guys? That was awesome.
All right. Do you have any goals that you are striving towards now?
You know, I just started a new business about a year and a half ago called Sports One Marketing. So one of my goals is to make that company into a very strong company that does a lot of different things. But also one of the key things I wanted to do is be able to give back to society. So a big part of what we do has a charitable side of it. So I think that's a big goal of mine. But I think from here on out in my life, I don't know how much time I have left here on earth, but I just want to try and be the best person that I possibly can be. I want to try and be the best husband that I can be, the best father that I can be to my kids, and you know, just really try and make that extra mark in life, that when I do leave here, that I've made a difference, and tried to make every community that I've touched throughout my career or throughout my life, make it a little bit better than when I came there. So that's kind of my major overall goal for myself.
And I think one thing you guys will notice is that most of the people that are remembered for, decades and decades that you hear about in history, it wasn't so much their accomplishments, but more on what they gave. I mean, some of the great individuals throughout our history have been individuals that have done so much, that have started some great institutions, colleges, or started, United Way, or all these different, these types of things. Those people that are really remembered for years to come is for their giving. So I think that's important to note. It's we don't always remember. I can name off 20 quarterback or 20 Hall of Famers right now from the 60s and 70s that you guys wouldn't know. You wouldn't know their names or anything like that. But I guarantee there's some instrumental figures in the 60s or 70s that made a habit of giving that you would know today. So I think that giving element, that those, when you start talking about the caring and the citizenship, that's when you start really leaving the legacy. And I think that's what Mr. Moon's trying to convey here as well, is that. Let's go to
Jared. One of the things that's really important to me and most athletes is we're given so much as athletes. It doesn't mean we didn't earn what we've been given, but in some ways you're probably given more than what you deserve because of of what the sport what the sport generates. I mean, people look at our salaries, they look at the fame and fortune that we get, they look at the way we're treated by different people, and sometimes it might be a little bit overboard. So I think as players, we look at this as we're given a lot, and we're very thankful for that. But we also know that we have the ability to motivate other people and to give back ourselves just because of who we are and how people look up to us. So if we don't lose sight of that and know that we can go out and make a difference in a lot of other aspects of life, there's a lot of us that are doing that. And I think those are the players that separate themselves as being just an athlete or being an overall great player and a great person. And that's something that I think most Hall of Famers and most guys that I try and surround myself with try and aspire to be is to be overall really good people and treat people with respect, which is one of the pillars of great character, and also just work hard and do the right thing. And that's kind of what I've tried to do with my career, because I really appreciate everything that's been given to me throughout my career, because I knew it hasn't been easy.
And thank you, Boston College. I know you guys have to get moving. Let's go Canton South.
Awesome. From a player standpoint, what traits did your best coach or coaches possess to help motivate, inspire you, and who's the toughest opponent you've played against?
Coaches use all type of different motivating ways to get to you, and I don't think there was one or two different things that they used to motivate me. I think hard work was always something that I learned as a very, very young kid. Playing in Pop Warner football, most of my coaches were policemen in Los Angeles. They were Los Angeles police officers, and we were coached by the same principles that they went through the training or police academy when they were becoming policemen. So they were very, very tough on us as young kids, and I think I learned a lot of that work ethic coming out of that park, coming out of that system. I played with some very, very great athletes at that system. A lot of guys that went on to play in the NFL. One of my teammates is a Hall of Famer, believe it or not, a guy named James Lofton, who's a wide receiver with the Green Bay Packers and the Buffalo Bills and the Oakland Raiders. We were on the same Pop Warner football team, and I don't think anybody can really say that probably anywhere in life that they played on the same Pop Warner football team together, two Hall of Famers. And we weren't even stars on the team, believe it or not. I was an outside linebacker and a wing back, and he was a defensive end, and we ended up both being quarterbacks, and he changed to wide receiver when he went to college. But it just shows the kind of talent that I came out of in Los Angeles, California. But a lot of those guys that I played with that might have been a little bit more talented than us didn't have the same drive and determination that we had, and that's one of the reasons why they did not become successful and we did. So that has a lot to do with it. It's not always the most talented player that's going to be the most successful. It's the person that is willing to work hard and do the extra things that it takes to be a great player that I think is going to turn out to be the most successful player.
I can tell you as an employee at the as an employer at the Hall of Fame, it doesn't always impress me the straight A student. That doesn't say everything. It's that maybe that B plus student that busted his or her tail to get that B plus. So it is the hard work and dedication to do that, because that's what's going to carry them on in all elements of life. Let's go. 2 more questions left. Let's go to Woodlawn, and then we'll go to international school. So go ahead, Woodlawn in Louisiana.
What does it take to be successful in the NFL?
What does it take to be successful?
In the NFL.
To be successful in the NFL? It takes a lot of things. I mean, it takes, first of all, you gotta have a goal for yourself. Depending on what position that you're playing, what's going to be asked of you at that position, and then you have to go out there and play that position at the highest level that you possibly can, knowing that there's a lot of other guys that are out there that are trying to earn that same job that you have. So consistency is going to have a lot to do with that as well. You not only have to play well to get the position, but you got to play well to keep that position, because you got to always know in the back of your mind that there's somebody trying to take that spot away from you. So I think consistency is very, very important, because in the National Football League, the average lifespan is only 3.5 years for a career. And there's a lot of reasons why guys don't last very long. Some of it's because of injury, and some of it's because guys just aren't good enough to get in, and then some of it is because guys aren't consistent enough and they end up losing their job and they're out of the league. So I think being consistent is one of the most important things. Once you're able to get to that level, you got to continue to stay at that level, or try and find it whatever you can to keep improving yourself. You can't stay comfortable on your laurels. You can't say, okay, I've arrived, I've made it in the National Football League, I've made the team, and then start to relax. That's when the kiss of death comes, because next thing you know, you're going to be out of the league because you're not motivated anymore. You're not trying to improve. You're not trying to be better. The players in the league that are around the longest, like myself for 17 years, is because I was constantly trying to improve myself each and every offseason. What could I do to make myself a better player? I look at all my film and see where I can improve, see how I can improve myself in the weight room, see how I can improve myself with my footwork or my fundamentals. All those different things, you're trying to make yourself a better player so you stay around longer. So I think consistency is a big key.
And another stat to throw along with Mr. Moon's stat there, and these are stats you can find on the NFL Players Association website as well, for NFL under their NFL Hopeful section. Did you guys know that players in the NFL, players that have completed their 4-year college education, will earn 20 to 30% more money, and their careers will last 50% longer than players that have not? And it really has nothing else to do, but that's a character trait. That's a character trait. If you have the drive, the determination, the dedication to get through college, that same drive and determination is going to help you to be a better football player. I mean, it's who you are. It's who you are. So those statistics like that are interesting to look at, because it comes back to character, that particular statistic. So last question of the program, international school number 45, Buffalo, New York. Pressure's on, it's 4th down, time's ticking, and you're driving down the field, you need a touchdown, go ahead.
Go ahead.
My name is Rosie. On behalf of the international school, we would like to thank you for meeting with us today.
We would like to ask you, did you ever take on a leadership role as a youth? If so, what was it?
Did I ever take on a leadership role as a youth? Yeah, I took on many different leadership roles. I was involved in the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts when I was a young kid, so that was kind of a leadership role for me. I was a leader in my group. Being involved in sports, no question about it. Being a quarterback, I was a leader on my football team. I tended to be a leader on every sports team that I played on, just because that was kind of part of my personality. And I think a lot of that came from just how I was brought up, being the only boy in a house of 7 women, I kind of took on the male role in my house as far as the man of the house, and I think I matured a little bit earlier than probably most 7-year-olds did, and because of that, I became kind of a natural leader at a very, very young age. So I tended to lead in everything that I was involved in just naturally, just because I had no problem stepping up and being comfortable being assertive that way. So, yeah, I did have a lot of different leadership roles as a young kid growing up. Regardless of what I was involved in, I just kind of took that on as a natural thing. It just came natural to me.
And Mr. Moon, we touched on a lot of different things. Is there anything, just in closing, is there anything that maybe we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with the students to close out the program?
Well, I think I've been in their shoes. It was many, many moons ago that I was sitting in the classrooms like that with a lot of different ideas and a lot of different dreams and a lot of different goals, circulating through my mind. So I can really, relate to what they're going through right now. And I wish I had the opportunity to be involved in a program like this when I was in elementary school or junior high school or high school. Coming up to get a chance to talk to somebody that was very successful in their life and ask questions about, what made them successful and how did they become who they are. I think it's a great opportunity for these young kids to be able to do this. I think hopefully if they listen to what was being said today and try and take what they can from it and use it in their everyday life, I think it will really help them. So my biggest thing as we leave here today is take advantage of this opportunity. Take advantage of every opportunity that you have from anybody that has some wisdom to give to you to make you a better person, because that's all they're trying to do. I'm not sitting here giving you this advice or sharing my story with you for any other reason other than I care about young people. I'm not being paid to do this. I'm not being threatened to do this. Jerry's not going to take away my Hall of Fame jacket if I don't participate in this program. I'm doing this because I want to do this and I care about young people because people cared about me when I was young. So I took advantage of that, of any opportunity that I had for advice that I could learn from somebody else. And I just want you guys to do the same thing, whether it's what I have to say or any of the other Hall of Famers that come into this program. Just listen to what we have to say, because there's some proof in our pudding that we have.
The conference is about to end.
Telling you, and we just want you to take this advice and use it to the best of your ability so you can be the best person that you can be.
Well, Mr. Moon, just first of all, I did threaten him. I was going to stick gum under his nose with his butt on display. That was my one threat if he didn't do it, but it worked out. But Mr. Moon, just on behalf of the Hall of Fame, our staff, from our director Steve Perry on down, thank you for taking time out of your day to connect with these students. Students, let's unmute your mics for just a moment and let's give Hall of Famer Warren Moon a round of applause. Thank you very much. Good luck to all of you. Again, we just got to say thank you to our friends at East Tech, Ohio. Thanks to Cisco. Thank you to all the schools that tune in here. And most importantly, thank you all the students for tuning in here today. We appreciate your great questions. You guys were so well prepared. Thank you very much. That's just what makes for an awesome program. So thank you. Good luck on everything. And take care. This concludes the program.